Is it running? I hope so. Good day. My name is Martin Schweiger, and I'm a patent attorney in Singapore and also a powerlifter. If you find this video of today, that is part of my Aging Strong vlog that I have started in January this year. Today is the 24th of May 2025, and if I'm right, then I have not recorded videos for maybe 6 weeks or 2 months, because I started this vlog when I came back from Shanghai, China in January. I just found out that I could sign up for the Singapore national competition in powerlifting, and that triggered my preparation for that event. I had about 1 month to prepare, and I almost started from scratch. I have to rush because traffic light is green. That was quite successful. I set a hefty goal, which was losing 8 kg from my then body weight of 110.6, I believe, kg, which I did the morning before the nationals in February. And I did quite well. I set 4 national records in the 105 kg bodyweight class, age Masters 3, which is from 60 to 70 years. Plus, my body weight was below 105 kg on the day of the competition. I used my AI that I have trained for metabolic questions to diet myself down from 110.6 kg to 102.4, I believe, even on the day before the competition. And I gained 2 kg weight overnight, mainly by taking up carbohydrates and water. And that was also with the help of my chatbot, the Strongman Health GPT. That was also quite successful because I was fully loaded with energy during the competition. I mean, the 3 exercises, squat, bench press, and deadlift. And my weakest discipline was always the deadlift, the third attempt. But this time it was really convincing. I could pull through in a third attempt in a deadlift exercise at ease. Or with ease. Yeah, we Germans in the prepositions. So, and then was February, almost over. I then spent the March just maintaining my weight. I put on a bit. Maybe I had 106 kg. And in the first week of April, I went to Germany because there were some events that I had to attend. And I spent altogether 5 weeks in Germany, from maybe even 6 weeks. And during these 6 weeks, I had no training whatsoever. I barely did my daily walk, my 10,000 steps. The Oura ring is really helpful in tracking that better than anything else. So I just made sure I do my walking. And what I also did was intermittent fasting. Means I had my first meal at around 2 p.m. of a day, and my last meal at maybe 6 or 7 p.m. So most of the time I was running on a calories deficit, because when I came back to Singapore and I stepped on a bathroom scale, my body weight was 103.8 kg, which is surprisingly, what do you say, little, low, few. I had expected to have 107, 108 kg, because I wasn't really careful about what I eat in Germany. You know that I'm avoiding carbohydrates wherever I can, but Germany, that doesn't work, because Germany is a land of bread and beer and flour. And dumplings and fat pork meat. But so good. So it was apparently like that. So every time I was invited for a meal, people were having the dumplings or the pretzels or whatever, and then I was sitting there, saliva drooling out, because this is mouth-watering when you know the taste. And someone had a very nice pork roast and gravy and dumplings and all that with a cold beer. How to say no? And because I know that this is going to happen, I didn't wear a continuous glucose meter. Actually, the only measurement that I ever did was with my overarching, this guy here. Yeah. Very, very helpful. So I just tried to not overeat, to fast intermittently, to be slow on alcohol and processed food. Although I had Bavarian meatloaf, it's super high in sodium, but again for 5 weeks or 4. Because the first week I was disciplined, but what follows, no. I believe it's quite difficult to be disciplined when I'm traveling. That's why I don't even wear a continuous glucose meter, because what does it help me? I know that the food that I'm eating is not good for the body. I don't need a measurement instrument for telling me that. So I just leave it away, save money and effort. But one of the first things that I did when I was back in Singapore, I put the continuous glucose meter on and I'm measuring. And the reason why I'm measuring is because when I go out, have a meal outside in the restaurant, I want to know whether there was some hidden carbohydrates. And you wouldn't believe it, after one day I was invited to a Thai restaurant and I had some fish, some fried pork, no rice, a tom yum soup. What else? Probably that was it. And what I got was a blood sugar spike. 1 hour later, my blood sugar, which is usually normal, went through the roof, which is for me at 8, what is it? 8 nanogram per milliliter or something, or millimole per milliliter, or something like that. It's not the 3-digit, but the 2-digit, from 3.9 to whatever. Yeah, but it came back within a very short time. So the blood sugar was normal. My continuous glucose meter showed me that this spike happened. And yeah, it always tells me you eat in a restaurant and you're just a victim because some idiot puts sugar in there. Yeah, that was on day 1 with the blood glucose meter. By the way, I probably will have 50 episodes recorded in the next series. Or what is it called? Not series. Deck. Episode. Because I'm preparing for an international competition in Japan. I will compete on the 12th of July. And that's pretty much 49 days from today. And yeah, I will take you along. My goal is I want to lose weight far below the 100, preferably 95 kg or maybe even 93, but probably 95. And then the week before the competition, build it up, my body weight, to be something in the 100, below 100. Fully loaded with glucose again, because that's my allowed doping. I must say it, I hate doping, because not only is it not fair,
No, I don't have time.
I'm talking about the forbidden doping, but it's also not healthy. When I prepared for my last competition, I told you the example with diuretics that you can take to lose 2 kg in a week. And I said, but it's only ridiculous, because there are also natural ways to achieve the same thing. So why would you take a drug to do that? It's really stupid. Then the continuous glucose meter plays an essential role in this venture, because my goal is to deplete my body of the glucose on a daily basis. And I do that by walking 1 hour. Brisk walking, so that I can still record my video and talk, but would be borderline. And while I'm walking and talking, I tell you about my insights into the human metabolism. And not only with respect to preparing for a sports competition, but in general. It also applies to health. I found out that I'm not alone with my metabolic syndrome. Many men in my age, 60, have it. And most of the time you can see it already from far because of the body shape or some other visible symptoms, like little warts in the face, so bulbs in the skin, for example. But also not only that. Then cancer is a metabolic issue. Then we talk about alcohol, and which is an important poison for the body. Yeah. And about other alternatives for providing health to a body. And I'm talking about supplements, nutrition in general, the blood measurements or body measurements in general. And also acupuncture. Yes, I discovered acupuncture, but in a different way that you might expect. I've shown you before, I'm using the life wave patches for 6 or 7 months already. I would say in 8 of 10 days I have one. Most of the time the X39 here in my neck. And what I can tell you is that over the past 8 months, my body and my metabolism, that what I measure, has changed dramatically. Now you can say, ah yeah, sure. But that was not because of the patch. It was because you have now a very different and more healthy lifestyle. Yes. You are now back into training after more than 2 years. Is it 2? Or is it? Yeah, I believe so. And you're competing. Of course, will your health get better and weight come down? Yes. But the question is, how can I find out whether the patch works or not? And I had a very surprising insight when I was in Germany. I was with friends of mine, and we were walking from their house to a beer fest. And the walk was through a forest. The forest full with trees that I know that I'm allergic against, like chestnut, linde, whatever that is in English. I forgot. And these trees were in full blooming. And I could feel it already because when I was at their house, which is close to the forest, I was sneezing all the time. And my nose was running, my eyes were running. So we were discussing with my friend, and she's a medical doctor, but then went into alternative medicine in Germany, acupuncture. And she has recommended these life wave patches to me last year already. And she mentioned that this is somehow connected with acupuncture points. And so, actually, I'm not an expert for acupuncture points, but I believe the easiest is, if you really want to try acupuncture out, is to ask an expert to do that for you. And I probably will not become one, because what she did is, before we left the house on the way to the beer fest, she put a patch on my lower arm. You don't see it. And she located an acupuncture point that is, I don't know, relevant for allergies, like hay fever. That's what I have. And then we started walking to the beer fest. And I didn't notice the patch anymore because I was just walking. And so we were there at the beer fest for 3 hours, inclusive the walk. And then we're back home. And then suddenly I realized that when I looked at the patch, that I didn't sneeze for the entire day and walk. While I was sneezing when I was inside the house before we started to walk. And I don't know why, but I just made one good sneeze And that was the one for the day. And it's just something like my body reminding me, hey, I'm still sneezing. Or so, if that is not a convincing demonstration that the life wave patches work, then what? I even forgot the name. I have the patch at home because my friend was so kind. She gave me 10 more patches for the rest of the journey, and I only used maybe 3 or 4 because I never was exposed so much to pollen anymore and so often. But each time I use them, they worked, and it seemed even to work if I use other patches on the same skin point of my body. Oh. So I found this quite surprising. And it shows me that this works, and then as a consequence, I have bought more of those patches. And I will continue to use them. And see where it carries me. They're also not so expensive, so it's affordable. So much about my life wave patches. I believe I will tell you more about that. The life wave patches, they have some minerals or salts, I believe inorganic salts. And you bring a certain amount of that salt near a acupuncture point, and they're adhesive, so they stay there. And it is said that energy of the body, the warmth probably, is absorbed by the patch. So it heats up from this environmental temperature to whatever the skin temperature is, maybe 35 degrees. And that energy is converted into a specific radiation energy that is issued by the salt in the patch. And because that energy is released near an acupuncture point, the body is excited by that energy in a specific way, depending on the spectrum of the substance that is in the patch. That's how me as an engineer with my little scientific knowledge can get.
Life streaming.
Life saving.
Hello.
Hello.
Where are you from?
Germany.
Oh, Germany.
Recording the video about the nice people in Singapore.
Oh, very good, very good.
Okay. Can I go?
Why not? No,
Okay.
no, green,
Goodbye.
green, green.
What?
Cannot.
Cannot.
Yeah, green.
Why must
Only
wait?
green.
No?
No, no. Okay, good.
Bye bye. These people are so kind, huh? Remind me to not cross the street when the traffic light is red. Let's go a bit inside. Yeah, so that's about what I can think about the life wave patches. Actually, I've worn one, no, two of those patches when I was lifting, because this is not considered to be doping. And now what to say? I mean, I set 4 national records in my last competition to a total of 8. Was it because of the LifeWave patches? I don't know. But what I can say is, from my experience, that if you give the LifeWave patches to 10 people, then a certain percentage, more than half, significantly more than half, would show reactions to the patch. And the others don't. And people don't have a tattoo that says whether it works or not. What I can say is that in my case, for the allergy, it worked. And it's not because I was willfully suppressing my allergy or so. I just put the patch and went on with my life and only saw in the end of the evening that it worked. So I would suggest that if you have some disturbances in your body, that you try out the LifeWave patch. Yeah. Maybe I put the link in the description, not only for my health GPT
1,400.
AI, but also for the LifeWave patches. It's only that depends very much on the country where you are, where you have to buy them. So I put the link for US, one for Germany, and one for Singapore. And if you buy from there, then you would support my channel here, which is, I'm grateful already. Yeah. And also, I put the bit.ly link for the Strongman Health chatbot. And then there's a counter that forwards you to the actual GPT. And then I can see on the counter whether someone has accessed the GPT. It's interesting for me. I believe I'm almost through what I wanted to talk about today, but maybe also not. Here's another issue. When I was in Germany, I heard that last December, a friend of mine who had passed away worked almost until the final day. He died of cancer. I believe it was liver cancer, but I'm not sure. But ultimately he died because the entire body was taken over by cancer. And I knew that already, and I never want to interfere with sick people because I trust that they're in good hands with their doctors. But after that death, I don't trust the doctors, fully trust the doctors anymore. Because my first thought was, well, if I had helped my friend getting his metabolism in order, I'm very sure he would still be alive. And that's not because I'm a medical doctor or because my healing power. It's because I as a measurement engineer, I majored in measurement and control systems. I can teach people how to use measurement tools to see whether the intended therapy works. And I'm not talking about expensive measurements here. I'm talking about measurements that you can do from home. Why do I say so? So, my friend seemed to have tried a keto diet and it didn't work. And I didn't know that he was using keto diet. But what I can tell you is, if you're doing the keto diet without measuring the ketones in your blood on a regular basis, you don't know whether you are in ketonic mode. I know that from my own experience. I can see that because I regularly, on a weekly basis, I go once in ketonic mode because I do fasting for 2 days. Tuesday is my water fasting day and Wednesday my dry fasting day. And I regularly lose 2 to 3 kg body weight, mostly water, admittedly, yes. But I also try to get my ketones in the blood up beyond 2.0, now what is it now? Millimole per liter or something like that. Maybe I should record a few episodes about how to use my measurement tools. And what I can tell you is, it's quite tough to get there. Because I believe after doing this for almost a year, my weekly fasting days, my 2 fasting days, my body switches to lower energy consumption so that less ketones are needed. You remember? Ketones are produced by the inner organs, I believe mainly by the liver, but maybe also by the kidneys. Not sure. It's not important. The main thing is that you need ketones, and the ketones are won from breaking up the body fat into triglycerides that go into the blood, and the triglycerides being converted into ketones and acetone and others, which then, of which the ketones are used in the cells for producing ATP, which is the energy currency in the body. And when the ketones are in the blood, the cancer cells are starved, because cancer cells mainly produce energy from fermenting glucose in the so-called Warburg cycle. So, in other words, you can starve your cancer cells to death if you just keep your main food for the cells as ketones and not as glucose. And you can live on ketones for a very long time, especially if you have a lot of fat in your body, which is the case for me. I believe when I measured last time, I believe my total fat content was something like 30% or maybe 28%. What you see here is anti-mosquito fuming. I stop talking now until I'm through the cloud. Yeah, I'm also a mosquito fighting expert. Could tell you days about fighting mosquitoes. But let's talk about the cancer again. So, what I can tell you from my own body, that the longer I do it, the body somehow produces less ketones. When I started, I could measure the ketones in my urine, but since a few months back, my body doesn't have ketones in the urine anymore, despite having measurable ketones in the blood. So somehow the body adapts. And for really starving an entire cancer to death, I believe you need years. Spending years in a ketonic mode. Just to make things clear here, I'm not saying that you should not get a conservative treatment against cancer. I believe the medical doctors have found ways to remove the cancer, and it's not only by surgery, which is also very, dramatic, because you get a lot of cancer cells away within a very short time, but also with drugs. So I would always do a bifurcated way, or sponged, you know, a two-wayer. So I would take my normal medication, and also I would change my lifestyle and verify with a logbook what I've done for changing my lifestyle. And the fasting is one of the main issues, the main actions. Oh, great. And also measuring. And why measuring? Because only when you measure can you later log and check what has been done. You can also see success as for weight loss. So hot. If you see your weight coming down, it's good. I mean, what all cancer patients have in common, they have signs of inflammation in their body. And you can measure inflammation in many ways. One way would be with a blood test to do the CRC test. Is a certain value that gives you a general inflammation. I would try to get this value down below 1. For me, it's about 2.5 or so. Or it was at least last time when I measured in January. Another value is an old-fashioned way, which means you draw some 50 milliliter of blood, put them in a glass vessel so that it extends for 30 centimeters or so. Important, you need to put citric acid so that it doesn't build lumps. And then you measure the amount of transparent liquid that you see over the blood bodies that are at the bottom of the vessel. And you measure it in centimeters per hour or so. And ideally it should be 0. Another good value for measuring inflammation is food-induced inflammation. Is to measure your fasting value for insulin and blood glucose. There's a certain formula for that. And so all cancer patients have that. And as you improve these values, you would also see that your cancer will heal better with the traditional, I say traditional, with the scholar methods of treating cancer. Here's another measurement value that I would do. There's a VO2 max. And there's a measurement, I've talked about that one before, that measures how healthy your mitochondria are. You remember? When cancer cells survive by producing energy from fermenting glucose and not by the mitochondria. And if your mitochondria are not active and your body cells are running in the Warburg cycle, then you can see that in your VO2 max measurement. That's one of the good things of the Oura ring. You can use it for measuring your VO2 max. Here, this guy. And they do it by setting a distance, then walk as fast as you can, measure the time for the distance, and compare with pre-calibrated tables, which is built into the Oura app. I have more sophisticated methods for you, but I believe for the start, that would do. And you can then improve. And I believe if you improve the VO2 max value of your body, then you would encourage the body to prioritize the working then more working cells over those cells that are not in the normal way of producing energy. And why do I say that? Because if you're long enough in ketonic mode, then your body would go into autophagy. Autophagy is a Greek word, and it, I believe, means something like self-eating. The body would put each and every cell under scrutiny of how much contribution to the overall body it makes, and then repurpose those cells that are found to be less productive. That, for example, removes all the excess skin from when you lose weight, like I did. So I have very little wrinkles from losing weight, and I've lost more than 30 kg already in a very short amount of time. And I believe this is because my body is in autophagy 2 times per week, or at least once, and then for a prolonged period of time. And yeah, so that's why maintaining the ketosis is so important, and you have to measure it. And this is what my friend probably didn't do. Or even worse, eating carbohydrates, because that's how you fuel cancer cells. Cancer cells live on glucoses. So yeah, the healing stories I heard was always that the people who survive cancer after a certain amount of time look like concentration camp inmates. They live off very little food, maybe 500 calories a day for an extended amount of time. And I know 3 people personally who have healed themselves with that from cancer. Lung cancer and brain cancer, brain tumor. So if someone got cancer and still eats carbohydrates, something is wrong. That's not a serious treatment. Also, I find it funny that very few cancer patients get 100% healing, cancer stage 0. And doctors are already happy if they can extend life by 2 or 4 or 5 years, when in reality the patient had still 20 years on a meter or even more. So this is a call for radical change in life. I have another friend who's maybe watching, and that is my message to him, to you. Stop eating carbohydrates. 100%. No beer, no potatoes, no rice, no oats, no grains, no flour, no rice, no sugar, no chocolate with sugar, only the 90% chocolate. And by the way, also no alcohol. And also no stress. The Ura ring would show you whether you're stressed or not. And find out from where you got your cancer. I'm sure that you can. So I believe I've said everything that I wanted to say. I haven't recorded videos for 6 weeks or 2 months, and I got so many impressions. It's unbelievable. Anyway, 49 days ahead to my competition. I'm through 1 hour walking, So daily walking important. I do it deliberately. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.